Cody Wright is next. Utah is here. He is riding for the World Championship. It's a battle between he and the next man you'll watch. He is trailing by about 20,000. You know how well he rides. Utah, you have to be proud of this guy, and I'm sure you are. And I hope you'll let him know it when that gate opens. He needs this ride badly. All right, Cody, let's do it.
Some boys dream of flying a spaceship to Mars. Others imagine stepping to the plate at the World Series with the bases loaded. And some boys, born 100 years too late, dream only horseback dreams. Born to the saddle in a small southern Utah town, Cody Wright grew up at the foot of the Hurricane Rim, haunted by horseback dreams. He seemed to know horses in spirit before he ever knew them in flesh. Though he entered this world at the dawn of the digital age, he struck his bargain early. From the time he was a toddler, his parents knew he'd spend much of his life on the back of a horse.
He wanted to go all the time. That was his first word, go.
The season's pretty much over. I got one rodeo left. I'm going to Dallas the 7th, 8th, and 9th of November, which is next weekend. That'll be the last season rodeo of 2008 before the NFR. Hopefully I can win some there just to give me a head start going into Vegas. We'll just use it, I guess, for a stepping stone to hopefully to accomplish the real goal of, winning a world title.
In the world of professional rodeo, modern-day cowboys start down the year-long road in January, leading to the Wrangler National Finals in Las Vegas in December. From Montana to Texas, from San Francisco to New York City, they traveled by land and air to as many as 70 rodeos a year. Women test their riding skills in the fast-paced barrel racing event. Men compete in the timed events of steer wrestling, team roping, and tie-down roping.
Take it any way you can get it. Come on, champ. Come on, champ. Show 'em how.
And the judged rough stock events of bareback bronc riding, bull riding, and the classic event of all rodeo, saddle bronc riding. All of the rodeo, in fact, all of what it means to be a cowboy, stems from the ability to break a horse to ride. The saddle bronc event matches horse and rider in a mythic struggle for dominance. Out of that struggle emerges something powerfully beautiful. 8 seconds of poetry in motion. 8 seconds in which horse and rider become a third greater thing. Today's bronc riders are throwbacks to an earlier time when young men broke horses on ranches across the West. Some modern-day riders are still ranch-raised. Others come from various rural and urban backgrounds. What they all have in common is an affinity for horses, a unique brand of courage, and a passion for action, danger, and intense competition. At the dawn of 2008, a long list of pro bronc riders took to the road on a quest for rodeo glory. Every one of them dreamed of winning enough prize money to qualify among the year's top 15 riders, because only the top 15 are invited to the national finals in December. And one of those 15 would eventually earn the title of world champion. Starting at Odessa, Denver, and Austin, the hard road to Vegas began. Among the ranks who hit the road in January was 5 times world champion Billy Ettbauer of Edmond, Oklahoma. The 45-year-old cowboy set out in 2008 on a mission to win a 6th world title, which would tie him with Dan Mortensen and the legendary Casey Tibbs for the most bronc riding championships. Rodeo fans across America were pulling for Billy to make history. Another of those bronc riders was a young, quiet, unassuming father of 4 named Cody Wright from Milford, Utah. At the age of 31, Cody'd been to the finals 5 times, and more than once, the world title had almost been his before it slipped from his grasp. In 2008, his heart and mind were focused on that prize more intently than ever. For Cody Wright, every ride in 2008 would be one more chance to move 8 seconds closer to Las Vegas.
When he was real little, we had a jumping horse, one of those little spring horses. And we had a big front room, and he could just jump that jumping horse all the way around the room until he broke the body on it.
But as soon as he was tall enough to get on a stool, he'd saddle a horse.
By the time he was 3, I was confident enough that I'd let him ride his own horse.
When you think of Cody, you think of this little teeny boy on a big horse. Everywhere he went, he would go on this horse every day or every other day. He would ride his horse from his house to the Frost Top and go through the drive-thru and buy an ice cream cone.
And I used to see him every day on that horse. I couldn't believe it. But he, born and raised on horses, and Billy took him up and back on the canal as he rode the canal. A little kid hanging on that horse, crossing the river 8 or 10 times.
His dad had always told him that if you ever get in trouble in the water, you stay with your horse, because horses are good swimmers and they'll get you out of it. And Billy went in first. He didn't realize how bad the river was flooding. He was just going to swim across it. Well, he no sooner got in and he realized it was dangerous, and he knew Cody was right behind him on his pony. And he hit the bottom and he got out of that river as fast as he could, and he'd lost his boot and his hat. And he ran down that river yelling for him. I mean, the kid didn't even know how to swim yet. I only asked him one time about it because he didn't want to tell me, because it made him have bad dreams, he said. And he was under the water when he came up. That horse had swam for a mile with that little boy hanging to it. You could hear him say, "Dad, Dad, I can't get my horse to the side." I mean, the horse was just standing in the river, water chest high, trembling because it was totally give out. And he'd swim the river. So he stayed with his horse. Yeah, he's a good horseman, and he was able to help his dad a lot and drive cows. He always shouldered a lot of responsibility, milking cows and breaking horses.
I've had him helping, doing a man's job herding cattle at 4 and 5 years old.
We were breaking a young horse. There's a vacant lot across the road from our house. And my kitchen window faced the road, and I could see him out there in the pasture. He was in like 4th grade. So every day after school, he's supposed to go out there and ride that horse. And that horse took its head and bucked the diagonal of that 2-acre lot. And finally, the horse hit the corner of the lot and then took a back turn and unloaded him. And I get out there about the time he's just picking himself up, and I said, "Are you okay?" He said, "Oh, yeah. It was kind of fun until I fell off."
Cody Wright hit the trail again in 2008. For nearly 10 years, he'd supported his family riding broncs, supplementing his living as a concrete finisher, a horseshoer, and part-time rancher. In early January, he left his wife Cherie and their 4 sons, Rusty, Ryder, Stetson, and Statler, and flew to Odessa, Texas. It was the beginning of a routine he had come to know well. Long days on the road and short, intense moments in the saddle. At the end of the previous year's exhausting campaign, he'd come within one ride of winning it all. This, he hoped, would be the year everything came together. He won the buckle at Odessa, pocketing more than $8,000, and shot quickly up the leaderboard. Each dollar won during the pro rodeo season is a point earned toward the national finals and the world title. The run continued through February and March as he placed at Fort Worth, San Antonio, Houston, Laughlin, Nevada, San Francisco, and won it all in Austin. He was off to a fine start, but 50 other gifted bronc riders were off to a good start as well. Any one of them was capable of beating you on a given day. An element of luck exists in rodeo. The horse is drawn at random, the animals are unpredictable, and the risk of injury is always there.
Both my tibia bones, both my fibia bones, I've got rods in both legs, plate, 9 screws in one of them. I've hung up, busted my eye socket. I've got a broken bone in my wrist, a staphoid bone, and knocked my teeth back a couple of times.
Cody had learned years earlier that luck is where preparation meets opportunity. In 2008, he was more prepared than ever.
One main thing I think is desire and the drive to win a world championship, the drive to compete.
But if Cody Wright was going to win the world in 2008, he'd have to find a way to beat the man he'd idolized since boyhood. That man was a cowboy from Oklahoma who'd won his first world title when Cody was 14 years old.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's 45 years old, still out-bucking horses.
To win in 2008, Cody'd have to outride Billy Ettbauer, one of the greatest to ever climb on a bucking horse. By age 12, Cody Wright had established his reputation as a horseman with a gift. Through his early teens, he spent parts of every summer working as a ranch hand on the Hafen Brothers place in Barkley, Nevada. During the 2008 rodeo season, he broke off the rodeo trail for a couple of days and took his family to Barkley to share old times with some of the cowboys he rode with as a boy.
Is this the year of Cody Wright?
I hope so.
It's about your turn.
Oh yeah, I had a lot of rodeo dreams then. You know, I'm sure most of them at that time were just high school, you know, rodeoing in high school and being successful. And
he came out here at 12 years old when most kids would be a liability to have him around. And I always have said he was better help than any man could possibly be. Every time something needed to be done, he could see what needed to be done and jumped in and had it done before I could ask him to. Except maybe one time I thought I needed to ask him to, but I talked quite slow, and he had it done before I got to ask him. So
Cody was often the first one up and had the horses fed. And while we were getting breakfast, he'd see that they were saddled and ready to go. Cody never did talk a lot, he just listened. I asked him one time why he didn't talk very much, and he said, well, I can learn a lot more by listening than I can by talking.
By early April, Cody was working his way up in the standings, but Billy Ettbauer jumped to a commanding lead by winning $55,000 at Houston in late March. In early April, Cody loaded his wife and kids in his Wilderness Circuit Champion truck and drove to Logandale, Nevada. He intended to make up some lost ground on Billy Ettbauer.
Excited to be a part of the Clark County Fair and Rodeo. Make a little noise.
Okay, let me tell you something now. If you're a fan of rodeo, you are in the right spot.
The gate guys opened the gate and he just swung his head right into it. He bumped his head coming out of there. It might have been a good thing. It might have slowed him up a little bit. So I was kind of surprised that he left like that. I was thinking he was going to sit there for a second. You want the horse to have, you know, the best trip he can have, but you definitely want to do everything you can to make him be the best they're going to be. Like at the end, I felt like I was getting pulled, but I was up out of there and tried to make the best ride I could.
When Cody was 15 years old, the Wright family moved from Hurricane, Utah, 90 miles north to Milford, a small railroad town where Cody would meet and marry his wife, Cherie. At Milford High School, Cody excelled in several sports, but rodeo trumped them all. Cherie knew she was marrying a cowboy and had a pretty good idea what it meant. She also understood that her young husband would never be content till he followed his rodeo dream as far as it would take him.
I just knew from day one that was what he was going to do. You know, even when we married, you know, it was tough being young and everything, but he still rodeoed, and that was just clear that that was what he was going to do, and that's what I wanted to do too.
The dream could have died when Cody started down the road and money ran out. His father believed in him enough to give him a credit card. And once he broke into the black, there was no looking back.
She's been really good. She's so supportive of Cody. Those kids struggled forever. I mean, you know, they ate a lot of top ramen soup and just, you know what I mean? They had hard times.
When it was tough going through college, I probably wasn't so eager to keep going with it. But, I mean, I always knew that he would make it, you know. I never questioned that.
I guess it started probably when he was in high school. When he needed something, he'd either call or come by the shop, and we'd try to do any repairs or whatever he needed as he was coming up.
Cody's kennel, I built it a little bit different because he's pretty small. His pelvis area and got a small butt, so he needs a little bit more to come around him.
Through April, May, and June, Cody Wright gained significant ground on Billy Ettbauer, with impressive wins at Palmdale, Santa Maria, California, Sisters, Oregon, and Delta, Utah, where he was hailed as a hometown hero. He also won money at Clovis and Livermore, California, Guyman, Oklahoma, Pleasant Grove, and Lehigh, Utah. By late June, he'd climbed back to within $14,000 of Billy Ettbauer. But his experience on June 21st at Cedar City, Utah, just an hour's drive from home, helped keep it all in perspective and reminded him of just how tenuous is the whole business of riding broncs for a living.
Our next cowboy has been 5 times to the National Finals Rodeo. He's number 2 ranked in the world right now on the Crusher World Standings Billboard. Ladies and gentlemen, make welcome to your arena the man that put Utah in the National Finals bucking horse. Here comes Cody. No, don't. Pop the clutch.
The horse stalled in there, and you know, they closed the gate, and I figured the second time he'd leave, and the second time he didn't. When they stall like that, it kind of gets you sitting up, and you don't get a good mark out on them, and a mark out's what starts your ride. Like that horse tonight, boy, he got my chin. I'm sure I'm going to be sore right through my neck tomorrow, because I was behind him, my feet weren't moving, I wasn't in time with him, he was just a pop in my head.
Cody Wright's acceptance of a rodeo scholarship to the College of Southern Idaho was pivotal in his life and career. In 1998, he moved his young family to Twin Falls. CSI's rodeo coach was the living legend Sean Davis, a 3-time world champion saddle bronc rider in the 1960s, and one of the most influential men in the sport's history. From the beginning, Sean Davis saw something special in Cody Wright. He took the young man under his wing and taught him the finer points of the sport, including a strong mental approach to rodeo and the business that goes with it.
But I could see immediately that he had a lot of talent, and he was gifted with the things that you need to be outstanding. At first, it took him a little time, a little practice, but Cody probably, out of all the kids I've coached, is in the top 2 or 3 with determination. When we'd practice at the school, he might be minding 2 kids shoe a horse and do part of John Taylor's work before rodeo practice, and then fulfill all his commitments, plus ride more practice horses than sometimes the whole rest of the rodeo team. First of all, you've got to become a winner. A lot of people can ride, but only a few people are really true winners. And it's the extra effort that you put in between just being good and outstanding. And Cody, he will not give up.
Every word Sean would say, Cody would take in and dissect it all up and use every little piece.
But Cody's got something that only a few people have in what you call fast feet. His feet are really fast, which means his timing is exceptionally good because he can beat a horse to the ground and be in position when that horse makes his next jump. And it also looks spectacular. Cody Wright is going to be the world champion. It depends on once he wins that world championship or what his goals are for them. He could be several times our world champion.
I think Sean is a big part of what Cody's accomplished.
O'er the ramparts we watched, we're so gallantly streaming.
In the world of pro rodeo, the 4th of July is known as Cowboy Christmas. Competitors choose from a long list of big holiday rodeos across the continent and keep the highways hot trying to pad their winnings at as many events as possible.
Here's a guy that is in line to win a world championship this year. He's been riding like a house of fire. Cody Wright.
During the 4th of July week, Cody Wright won the buckle and $15,000 at Greeley, Colorado, $7,500 in Belle Fourche, South Dakota, and another $1,500 at St. Paul, Oregon. His Independence Day total of more than $24,000 made him the top money winner of all pro rodeo cowboys in any event over Cowboy Christmas.
You know, when things are going good and you're healthy and just got good ones coming up. The rodeo year is a long ways from over.
In the meantime, Billy Ettbauer continued to build up his own total. Yet little by little, Cody kept gaining. Saddle bronc riding is an 8-second performance of horse and rider in front of a set of judges. The rider's horse is drawn at random. The bronc is bred to buck hard and kick high. Bucking horses used in professional rodeo are among the most healthy and well cared for animals in the world.
Stock contractors have a great pride, whether they've raised the animal or purchased it, in making sure that that animal is at its best whenever it goes to a rodeo that a cowboy is competing at.
The rider must use an approved saddle and hold the rein with one hand. His feet must be over the point of the horse's shoulders when his front hooves hit the ground, the first jump out of the chute. At no time during the 8 seconds can the rider touch the rein, saddle, or horse with his free hand, and in order to score well, he must spur the horse from the break of his shoulders to the back of the saddle, every jump. A perfect score is 100. Judges award up to 50 points for the bronc's performance and up to 50 points for how well the cowboy rides.
Aggressiveness and exposure are the things that epitomize, I've reached the top of this, and you actually start to show off. I've got her all down, and now I'm going to show you how much more I can do. exposure is the last thing that you get, and that comes with a little bit with confidence, but confidence is not in the rule book. But that is what establishes a good bronc rider and allows him to go above and beyond.
Cody Wright is the modern embodiment of a long line of bronc riders reaching back more than a century. His style can be traced to the great Casey Tibbs, who rode in the 1950s and won a record 6 world championships. Cody's ability mirrors that of his mentor, Sean Davis, who added a new touch of class to the event in the 1960s. Through the 70s, 80s, and 90s, a host of great bronc riders rose to the top, including Joe Marvel, Brad Germanson, Monty Hawkeye Henson, Mel Hyland, Clint Johnson, Dennis Rainers, Cody Bill Smith, and Marty Wood. Since the turn of the century, Dan Mortensen and Billy Ettbauer have been the kings of the sport. But in the last 5 years, an amazing generation of 24 young bronc riders have come on the scene to make saddle bronc riding one of the most competitive events in all of the sport. In his down-to-earth manner, Cody Wright has worked his way to the highest tier. On the ground, he looks like any other young man in a cowboy hat, but when the chute gate opens, he transforms into an artist. His grace and confidence as a person is expressed in his seemingly effortless style on the back of a horse, a style admired by those who know bronc riding. At 5'8" and 145 pounds, he sits a horse as if he were born to it, and is known as a rider who can make the rankest bronc look like an 8-second rock in an easy chair.
You can talk to any of the top 30 bronc riders in the PRCA. Fundamentally, he's perfect. He stays back on everything, lifts on his rein, and sets his feet higher than... We joke around and call him a freak of nature, you know? And it's fun to watch, and you can learn a lot from watching that guy.
Cody Wright is one of the most gifted competitors I've had, plus the fact that he's got the mind and the discipline to reach the step that only a few ever reach.
He makes it look easy, which sometimes is at his disadvantage, I think. But he's not a, I don't know if I would say a show-off when he rides. He just gets out and he knows what he has to do, and he does it good.
The ranker the horse, the better he shines.
Each summer, Cody Wright takes a detour off the road to Vegas and heads north to Calgary, Canada, to participate in one of the grandest and richest rodeos of all. The Calgary Stampede is a world unto itself, an iconic rodeo with a storied past and a $100,000 prize for the winner in each event. Though Calgary winnings do not count in the PRCA standings, every cowboy invited to this near-mythic celebration drops everything in early July, crosses the border into a province where bronc riders and hockey players reign supreme. In 2006, with his 4 boys along, Cody came home from Calgary $114,000 richer than when he left. In July of 2008, he left the boys home to play baseball and took Cherie, now pregnant with their 5th child.
They really do treat you like you're the most important person up there. They cater to you. They're just very nice. The whole committee, everybody, they're very nice. And usually, you know, it's to the cowboys, but up there it's to the whole family.
During the richest 8 seconds in rodeo, under the most immense pressure imaginable, Cody Wright made a picture-perfect ride on a bronc named Lynx Mountain. His score of 87.5 was half a point better than J.J. Elsher's 87. With a $100,000 check in his pocket, it was a sweet drive home.
The world lifts off your shoulders when you got a little money in your pocket.
The second of 13 children, Cody Wright knows what it means to belong to a family. He became a father himself at the age of 18 and takes his role as a husband and a father even more seriously than his passion for rodeo. He takes his boys along whenever he can.
Cody named Rusty, and he was named after Rusty Allen, Cody's traveling partner now.
I'm 12 and Hi, I'm turning 13 next month. I'm Ryder and I'm 10 years old.
My name's Stetson Wright. I'm 9 years old. My name is Statler and I'm 5.
As he pressed toward the national finals in 2008, he also looked forward to the arrival of his 5th child in early 2009. This one, they had already learned, would be a girl.
And we decided on Lily because with 4 brothers, she's probably not going to be much of a girly girl. So we decided she'd probably better have a pretty girly name.
His bank account swelling with the Calgary prize, Cody marched on, winning money at Nampa, Idaho, and coming home to Utah for the 24th of July holiday rodeos.
Oh, I'm nervous. You know, like my horse is standing in there, ready to be saddled. It's a pretty nice horse, supposed to circle around to the right, and hopefully it's enough to win. I'm nervous, butterflies. I don't know, scared a little bit. I guess unless you've done it, it's kind of hard to describe. It's definitely an adrenaline rush. You kind of just got to learn how to deal with. I think you're really nervous. You know, you got to stay somewhat calm, and so that you can do all the things you're supposed to. Try to control all the emotions, I guess, that you've got going on.
He didn't place at Ogden, bucked off his horse in Salt Lake.
I never really got under my swells real good, and she just flat bucked me off.
Later that same night, he won money at Spanish Fork.
I think I'll place here, go to Cheyenne, and hopefully do something good there. I like to get on every day.
First of all, you've got to become a winner. A lot of people can ride, but only a few people are really true winners.
All I can do is keep riding and keep trying to win, and you know, I guess if there's a guy to be behind, there ain't a better guy to be behind than Billy.
It's been a dream of his. It's been a lifelong goal.
Well, I hope I'm standing on that podium. I'd sure like to win a gold buckle. You know, that's the ultimate goal. And you know, like I said, I try to keep it as simple as I can. You know, you ride every horse the best you can. You know, make the best ride.
After the rodeo in Spanish Fork, Cody drove all night from Utah, driving to Cheyenne, Wyoming, just in time to climb on another horse. The Cheyenne Frontier Days Rodeo is known as the daddy of them all. Along with the Calgary Stampede and the Pendleton Roundup in Oregon, Cheyenne is one of the most revered icons of rodeo, where the sport traces its roots back more than a century. By the time Cody finished his rides at Cheyenne, he added $3,800 to his season's earnings. In the meantime, in the same Cheyenne arena, the veteran Billy Ettbauer reminded everyone of how thin the line is between glory and calamity every time the gate opens.
Billy Ettbauer. Oh my. Ladies and gentlemen, there's not a classier cowboy who puts on a pair of boots than the man you're watching right here.
As the oldest of 7 brothers, Cody Wright has set a standard each of his younger brothers aspires to. He takes as much pride in his brother's accomplishments as he does in his own.
Here's Jesse Wright. Check.
Calvin, Alex, twins Jesse and Jake, and Spencer have each won their share of state and national high school rodeo titles. The youngest, 12-year-old Stuart, also looks forward to following his older brother's footsteps.
I think it's pretty cool having a lot of brothers who are really good at what they do.
He does a lot to help us.
He's my mentor, whatever, yeah. And he has opened a lot of doors for us, so we ain't got to open ourselves.
Hope and pray when I know that they're struggling that they can come through it without injury.
My idea of a successful rodeo was nobody got hurt. You know, chips fall where they may. That's all cool, as long as we don't end up at the hospital. Why can't they do something normal? You know what I mean? Whatever normal is. I don't know.
Calvin, Alex, Cody, Spencer, Jake, Jesse, me.
In 1989, Billy Ettbauer and his brothers Dan and Robert became the first 3-brother trio to qualify for the National Finals Rodeo in the same event. It's not inconceivable that the Wright brothers, as they continue to grow together in the rodeo world, could shatter that record in the future.
You know, I just hope they can all make it to the finals like we were. And you just can't beat family helping you out and just making everything easier.
Cody left Cheyenne for Dodge City, Kansas, where he chalked up another $3,600 in winnings. In the meantime, Billy Ettbauer, nursing his wounds from the trouncing in Cheyenne, came right back and won the average at Dodge City. During that same first weekend of August, Cody won nearly $5,000 at Idaho Falls and another $2,400 in Heber City, Utah. From there, he drove on to a series of other early August rodeos, winning more money at Lovington, New Mexico. By the 12th of August, he trailed Billy Ettbauer by a mere $719. On August 24th, after winning money in Tremont, Utah and Kennewick, Washington, and after taking the buckle in $7,500 at San Juan Capistrano, Cody Wright finally overtook Billy Ettbauer in the standings.
Well, I've just been very blessed this year, I really have. You know, for the way that I've been rodeoing the last few years, basically try to go to 30 rodeos and just kind of see what happens. I've been trying to stay home a lot with Holly and the kids. So I got along all right, pretty good at San Antonio, and then, you know, lucky enough to win Houston.
In rodeo history, few men have been as beloved by fans as Billy Ettbauer.
I would love to see Billy win another one, just one more time.
In 2008, at an age well beyond that of any of his competitors, he was headed to the national finals for a record 20th time.
You know, I'm just going to stay healthy, I'm going to have fun doing it, and go where they'll draw me something that I feel that a guy can do some good on, that I really feel that's worth leaving the house for, because if I have my options, I'm going to stay home.
Over the years, Billy made some of the most spectacular rides ever witnessed, including 2 record-setting 93-point rides in Las Vegas, making him one of the greatest celebrities in rodeo. Though he had taken a beating in the 2008 season, the 5'5", 140-pound cowboy with hands like vice grips was still riding in top form.
I just want to ride good and feel like I'm riding good, and and we'll just see what happens.
Regardless of how the regular season ended, Cody knew his idol Billy would mount a formidable challenge once they reached Vegas.
Every year I rodeo, I'm going for a world title.
After winning money at Filer, Idaho, Evanston, Wyoming, Puyallup, Washington, and Pendleton, Oregon, Cody pulled into the Dixie Roundup at St. George, Utah, just 18 miles from where he grew up. He had stopped in his hometown of Hurricane to visit his grandma Wright before the rodeo. She had recently suffered a stroke, and it would be the last time he ever saw her before she passed away.
She is a really neat lady, she's always been a really hard worker.
As a boy, Cody had sat on the hard concrete bleachers of the Dixie Sun Bowl and dreamed his first rodeo dreams as he watched the great bronc riders of the 1980s.
Always watched this rodeo growing up.
Now he had come full circle.
Past Wilderness Circuit champion, he pitches that buck rein out and says, let's have him out here tonight.
And then once he got his feet and got gathered up, just jumped and kicked pretty nice, circled around the left there.
And on this night, he would notch his last win of the regular season with an 86-point ride on Barty Rodeo's Buckskin Bill.
Whether it be a little one or a big one, it's all money that counts towards the standings. And I know world titles come down to dollars. Anytime you can win, it's good. Anytime you can add to what you got, you can't complain.
From there, it was on to Oklahoma City, Billings, Montana, and the Wrangler Pro Rodeo Tour Championships in Dallas. Cody held his lead over Billy Ettbauer through September and October. At the Tour Championships in Dallas in early November, Ettbauer came storming back to win the event, inching to within $5,000 of Cody and making it known in his singular way that this would be a shootout to the end.
Billy rides really good, and you better come try to win first or he's going to win first.
It's an honor to be riding with him. It's just a lot of fun.
Come early December, all roads in the cowboy world lead to Las Vegas.
And he loves it. He loves Las Vegas because he can take his whole family and everybody comes and it's one big party and he makes a lot of money.
Only the top 15 in each event are invited to compete at the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo at the Thomas and Mack Center, but everyone else comes to watch. The sold-out arena brims with nearly 18,000 rodeo fans every night for 10 days, not to mention the massive television audience watching on ESPN. For the 6th time, Cody Wright was listed among the elite of his profession. For the 2nd time, he was entering the finals in the number 1 position. Ahead lay 10 rounds of riding in 10 days with more than $16,000 going to the winner of each night and more than $40,000 awaiting the average winner at the end. Cody knew from past experience that whether you went in number 1 or number 15, the world title was anyone's to win. Anyone who could put together a 10-day series of great rides on the rankest broncs in the world. A rotating cast of family members occupied the Wright family's coveted seats every night. Cherie, confined to the hotel room due to her pregnancy, watched on television.
The doctor told her don't come down here. She came anyway because she couldn't stay home.
At this point, the $5,000 that separated Cody Wright and Billy Ettbauer was insignificant. After a year of vying for the lead in the world standings, they entered the national finals in a virtual tie.
Out of Milford, Utah, Cody Wright is getting ready.
Cody got off to a slow start with a low score in round 1.
Come on!
Adding insult to injury, he hit the ground hard after the ride.
Oh yeah, that corner is hard. I'll tell you, you don't want to land over there. I went to double grab there and I just lost both my swells and I didn't have any choice. I was looking for a little air there for a minute. I landed flat on my back.
45 years young, 5-time champ of the world, aces full. Here's brother Bill.
Billy Ettbauer scored 85 for second place in the round, jumping him $8,000 ahead of Cody.
He is ageless.
Just like that, the advantage had turned to Billy Ettbauer. In round 2, Cody's ride on Devil Lady was good enough for third place.
She just jumped out of there and jumped and kicked kind of around there to the right, and lucky enough I was there for 8 seconds.
You're going to see a seesaw battle between him and Billy Ettbauer.
Billy was right behind him, riding Black Knight for fourth.
Yeah! Yeah! No! Oh, man!
Cody had gained some ground, but Billy still held the advantage.
Billy Ettbauer has moved to the lead.
Round 3 put Billy Ettbauer firmly in the driver's seat as his spectacular 89.5 ride on Blue 2 won the round.
Oh, get up! What about Billy Ettbauer, Las Vegas? The race is between him and Bill. Here we go.
Cody had a classic ride going on ninth moves until his left spur hung on the bronc rein. A victim of his own aggressive style, he hit the dirt hard before the whistle and fell to $22,000 behind Billy Ettbauer. Stuck in traffic after the rodeo that night, Cody knew he had to turn things around, and soon. On a night of tough-to-ride eliminator horses, with 7 out of the 15 cowboys bucked off, Cody won round 4 with an 88.5 ride on a rank horse named Sundance.
Hey! Hey! Oh, man! Oh, man! What?
Riding fast and loose to the whistle, Billy got the job done on Gross Beetle for 85 points and third in the round. Cody had found a way to turn things around, but Billy wasn't letting up. The advantage was still in Billy Ettbauer's favor by about $16,000, and he held a significant lead in the important race for the average.
Rusty Allen, he is from Utah. Where are all those Utah fans? We have a lot of you here, don't we?
And a world champion bucking horse called Cool Alley.
Round 5 helped even the playing field for Cody. Billy Ettbauer bucked off the great bronc Cool Alley, a horse he had twice ridden for 93 points. Cody rode Painted Feathers for 81.5, but not enough to place in the money. Cody still trailed Billy by $16,000, but the average race had tightened. Billy Ettbauer came storming back, scoring 88 on Fu Manchu to win round 6. Cody rode a classy mare named Queenie for 84 points and a disappointing 5th place in the round. He now trailed Billy Ettbauer by $28,000. For Cody, the outlook was growing bleaker. Billy Ettbauer was on a roll. He seemed unstoppable. Yet a great deal of rodeo remained, and Cody Wright knew it was far from over.
You know, whether he's in the average or out of the average, he's always going for first.
Well, it's all good if you stay on him.
He's a great bronc rider, and you know he's going to be in there to the end. This ain't his first rodeo.
If Cody was going to turn the tide, it needed to be in round 7. And he did just that with a highlight reel ride on Bar T Rodeo's Round Robin. Igniting the crowd with an 88.5 ride, he left everyone in the dust. Second place was a full 4 points behind. Billy Ettbauer came down hard off Devil Lady, the same horse Cody had ridden for 3rd place in round 2. Billy still led by 11,000, but Cody now had the advantage in the average. The head-to-head race between Billy Etbauer and Cody Wright was turning into one for the ages.
You got mixed emotions, you know, and I guess if it wasn't for Cody, I'd be pulling for Billy.
Do it on Night Moves!
In round 8, Billy Etbauer failed to make the whistle on Night Moves, the same horse that bucked Cody off in round 3. Cody's 80-point ride on Gallant Warrior was good enough for third place, pulling him to within a mere $1,100 of Billy Etbauer. But most important, Cody now held a significant advantage over Billy in the race for the average. And it was beginning to look like the man who placed highest in the average was the one who would be the world champion.
It's been a real tight race, and I'm pulling for Cody Wright from Utah.
I think he can handle the pressure. He can handle the riding part of it, and he's been taught not to make mistakes.
Oh, this year, Billy Etbauer.
When Cody Wright arrived at the Thomas and Mack Center on Friday evening, December 12th, he was still on a long list of gifted bronc riders who had never won a championship. Like the baseball greats who never won a World Series and the football stars who never won a Super Bowl, he stood just a step away from the ultimate goal.
How about the neighboring state of Utah, Cody Wright?
On this night, he held his fate in his own hands. He had drawn a dirty, ranked, ducking, diving, eliminator bronc named Wild Bill, a horse that had handily dispensed with Chet Johnson in round 3. If Cody was going to be the world champion, he'd have to dig deep enough to hang with Wild Bill for 8 long seconds. He nodded his head. And 8 seconds later, after a lifetime of rodeo dreams had spun through his mind, he was still there.
Oh, Cody!
His 85 points were 6 better than anyone else that night. Moments later, the gate opened again.
No!
And when Billy Etbauer hit the ground before the whistle sounded, those who were keeping score knew that Cody Wright had clinched the world title.
And Cody's going to end up with at least $240,000. So Cody is the world champion.
Cherie could not stay away from the arena the final night. 9 days of riding had taken their toll. Both Billy Etbauer and Cody Wright bucked off their final horses in the 10th round, but it didn't matter. With his $27,000 bonus for third place in the average, Cody's total winnings for the year eclipsed Billy Etbauer's by more than $40,000. It had been a seesaw battle to the end, but when the dust cleared, there was no question in anybody's mind who was world champion.
From Milford, Utah, Cody Wright!
You're going to go to the stage, get your saddle, and you're going to walk across the dirt with all the other world champions.
Cody earned every percent of what he did today.
My voicemails filled up right away. Everybody was really excited.
Cody Wright, congratulations, buddy.
Thank you.
Saying world champion Cody Wright, has that sunk in?
It sounds really good.
And I knew it was his year, and I knew he could do it. We worked on this, you know, as a family for a long, long time.
It's a pretty indescribable feeling, you know. I've been working at it pretty much my whole life. It's kind of hard to believe.
You did it. Good job. Proud of you.
Thanks.
So glad for
you. Life's dreams come true.
A boy dreams his dreams, and it's left to the man to chase them. For most boys who imagine rodeo glory, the obligations of manhood eventually push the dream into the shadows of duty. And those rodeo dreams die hard. From the time he was a boy, it was clear that wherever Cody Wright's passion pointed him, he would someday arrive there ahead of all the rest. In 2008, on a glorious winter's night in Las Vegas, the dream came true.
Settle 100 years late in a world of machines where he just couldn't wait to swing his leg over the back of a horse. 8 seconds closer to Vegas, he charted his course. He entered this world with a natural born sense, horses and spirit, and now in the flesh. Saw into their hearts, struck his deal early on. 8 seconds closer to Vegas, the road is so long. High in the saddle, the world spin by. They ain't found a horse he won't ride. Tough one, and if he don't fall, 8 seconds and he'll win it all. At 12 he stood ready to cinch up and ride. Shook out a fast loop, then crossed the divide. Mornings he wrangled and evenings he dreamed. 8 seconds closer to Vegas, he hears the wind sing. High in the saddle, the world spin by. They ain't found a horse he won't ride.
He said, "Do you think there's rodeo in heaven, Mom?" I said, "I think life goes on pretty much the same." He goes, "I hope so."
Measures his rein, eases down on his draw, settles under the swells and quick sets his jaw. The gate finally opens, all else is forgot. 8 seconds closer to Vegas, and no time to stop. High in the saddle, the world spin by. They ain't found a horse he won't ride. While Billy's a tough one, but he didn't fall. 8 seconds and he won it all. 8 seconds and he won it all. Won it all. 8 seconds in the saddle, with the world spinning by.
Maybe I can roll on and shoot for another world championship. It just goes on and on.